If Americans were not so terrified of their private selves, they would never have needed to invent and could never have become so dependent on what they still call the Negro problem. This problem, which they invented in order to safeguard their purity, has made of them criminals and monsters, and it is destroying them. And this is not from anything blacks may or may not be doing, but because of the role a guilty and constricted white imagination has assigned to the blacks, that the scapegoat pays for the sins of others is well known, but this is only legend, and a revealing one at that. In fact, however, the scapegoat may be made to suffer, his suffering cannot purify the sinner. It merely incriminates him the more, and it seals his damnation. The scapegoat eventually is released to death. His murderer continues to live. The suffering of the scapegoat has resulted in seas of blood, and yet not one sinner has been saved or changed by this despairing ritual. Sin has merely been added to sin, and guilt piled upon guilt. In the private chambers of the soul, the guilty party is identified, and the accusing finger there is not legend, but consequence, not fantasy, but the truth. People pay for what they do, and still more for what they have allowed themselves to become, and they pay for it very simply by the lives they lead.